Welcome back to another episode of the Nick Claxton Fan Club. I'm Q, got Marty, Rocco, and Ben. Let's get right into it. Yesterday we saw the Lakers get swept by the Denver Nuggets. Anyone have any thoughts?
Uh, Again, I'd like to just take my credit because I was fucking like last week we were talking about the series and I was like, yeah, I don't think the Celtics have it in them, and I don't think the Lakers have it in them. I was right on both counts. I'd just like to get that out of the way. But yeah, I think Denver was just the better team all series long. If you're an LA fan, there's nothing to really get mad at. You guys just ran out of gas. Like you didn't have the depth, you didn't have the youth, you didn't have the organization or the team chemistry as a team that was kind of like assembled like bit by bit as the season went along. Whereas Denver's kind of had like Denver's been playing with the same like core of people for like the last 3-4 years, and then just like adding a piece here and there where it fits. But they know how to play together, and yeah, Denver was just clearly the better team, better coach, more talent, and yeah, it deserved to be a 4-0 series because Denver just at every turn was the better team.
I'd like to mention that even though the Lakers lost, I think we have to give LeBron his flowers. He did everything he could in that game four to help his team to the win. He had like nearly a 40-point triple double. He was efficient, and I feel like a lot of the blame may go on him uh, if you weren't really looking at the numbers because of that last possession. He went up for the shot, got blocked. There's kind of, I mean, that's the guy you want taking the last shot. I would have full faith in him as a Lakers fan to take that shot. It just didn't work out this time, but he had a great game, and he definitely didn't give up on the series like we may be seeing from the Celtics. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think the Lakers. I thought LeBron would steal one on his own, but they just were playing him like every minute, and he was just out of gas, and the whole team was out of gas because they can't play too many guys, and those same guys that are getting success just they run out of energy because they're playing 40 minutes a night. And I think the Nuggets win it in the finals. I don't think the Heat can match up at all against the Nuggets. I think they just freaking they got too much depth, too much shooting, and
Hey,
yeah, I think the Nuggets in six.
sounds like you're writing off the Celtics in this series. They
Oh,
still have not lost.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Don't let us get one, man.
Don't let us get
Don't let
Don't
one.
let us
us get
get one.
one.
Hey,
Don't let
hey,
us take one. You don't know what's gonna
If we
happen.
if we take one, there's a chance we could take two.
Yeah.
And if we
Okay.
take
If
two,
we take
there's a
if we
chance we
take
could
one,
take three.
if we take one, that means it's 3-1. You know what happened in 2015,
oh yeah,
2016.
Oh yeah,
can't forget that.
I hate it. But
yeah.
Hey,
Shout out the
don't let us get
Nuggets.
one. All right, you're right, you're right. Don't let us get one. It's not over.
Yeah, shout out the Nuggets. You know, they played their asses off. Got to hand it to LeBron. LeBron played 48 minutes last night. He was off the court maybe for 4 seconds in the total time that basketball was being played. That's a year 20 guy playing 48 minutes for you. That's a old, soon to be out the league guy playing 48 minutes for you. In terms of the rest of the team, D'Angelo Russell definitely needs to step up, I think, in my opinion. You know, he underperformed this series. I don't really remember the series before that and the series before that, but this series I can say he underperformed. Um, Jared Vanderbilt didn't even play because he also played very poorly in this series. You know, if it gets to a point where like Tristan Thompson's getting prime playoff minutes in the game four, there's definitely a problem because that man was out the league for 2 years and now is playing prime playoff performance. AD last night was able to pull it together in the second half, but the first half was very bad performance. I enjoy seeing Jamal Murray at his peak health right now. I really enjoy that. Props to him. You know what I mean? An incredible comeback because, you know, with those leg injuries, you never know. You could come back the same, but a lot of times you don't. And we've seen that with a lot of players who were like what ifs, like Derrick Rose, Brandon Roy. So props to him.
First person, first person to average 30 points on 50, 40, 90 in the conference finals
It's ridiculous.
ever.
Yeah. Shout out
damn,
to
I don't know
him.
that. Fucking hell.
And while we're on the topic of LeBron, after losing the series, LeBron's been talking about considering retirement. So, what do we think about that? What do we think that if LeBron retires, what does that mean for the league as a whole? What does it mean for the Lakers?
I think for the league, well, first of all, I don't think it's happening. I don't think LeBron retires after this. I don't see him going out this way. It's kind of just, it seems like a spur of the moment kind of thing, and I don't think he'd make a decision off of that. Uh, I think he's got a lot of good basketball left in him, believe it or not, at his age. He's still one of the best players in the league. I think I saw a quote earlier today that he said something about being better than like 90 or 95% of the league still, which is true.
Yeah.
So I don't see him retiring. But if he were to retire, I think the Lakers may want to consider going into rebuild mode because I don't see Anthony Davis leading a team as the number one guy to another championship. So they should trade away their assets while the value's high and think about rebuilding that's if that is the outcome of this. For the league, I don't really think I, I I don't know that much changes. I think LeBron will be missed, and I think LeBron also would be going down as, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. I'm not even a LeBron fan. I, I've just recently grown to somewhat appreciate him. I've always known he's been a great basketball player, but I've never been a fan until just recently. Um, but I don't see how anyone could top his career out of anyone that's played before him. So I think he goes down as the greatest if he retires now.
Yeah. I also don't think LeBron's done after this year. Like, for a guy who's, for one, been in the league 20 years, done everything that he's done, and had the career he's had, and also having like kind of a track record with, obviously we saw Jordan. Like, I feel like Jordan, not to say it was like did anything to his legacy, because his legacy was completely untouchable, but like he had two really really forgettable years in Washington, where he kind of just like he came back because he was like the GM or something, and like his team was struggling. He's like, I can do better than half these cats. Like, fucking just got out there for no reason. like I think LeBron would be. I don't know. I don't see him going out after this year. I still think he wants to play with his son. I still think that's like a genuine motivation for him. I don't know where he would end up if he didn't stay with LA. Like I can't. It's one of those things where he's such like a franchise-altering player, but he's also like so old to the point where he might start like legitimately regressing in a few years, like however long it takes for Bronny to get in the league or whatever. So I can't like imagine a 40-something-year-old LeBron on any other team other than the Lakers, because the Lakers have just been like kind of devoted to helping him chase championships with like signing all the old guys, and like kind of neglecting their development as a team over the last few years just to make him happy. Jesus, I don't see him going anywhere. But yeah, I think the Lakers championship window has slammed shut.
Yeah. I don't see him retiring or leaving at all. And like these other teams, if they've made like a play for LeBron at this point in his career, like I don't think that does much. Unless you're like a contender, which I don't think you get LeBron on like a contending team if you're gonna make a play. But I think he stays in LA. They gotta do something else with like they keep AD, but they gotta move like D'Lo and like some of these other guys, because that's just not gonna work out if you're trying to win games. I also think that this was maybe the last shot at like a title run. I didn't think they were gonna make this run at all this year, going into the playing game. But I think LeBron, if he were to retire, that's like he is the greatest player ever. Like Jordan's got the championships, but like all around as a player, LeBron is better. Like as a player, just looking at play. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I also don't see LeBron retiring. I think he has another. I don't know. The thing is, we haven't seen him regress per se. He hasn't really regressed. He's kind of just shifted his game to still make him look great. Year 20, he averaged 30 on the season, almost a 30-point triple double in his 20th year. At the age of 38, like he had a season-ending foot injury if he had gotten the surgery, but he kept playing through it, which people didn't talk about. Like he's been playing on like a bad foot for maybe half, maybe even more than half the season. He's been playing on a bum foot. Um, if he were to retire, yeah, there's no debate that he should go down as the greatest player of all time. Everybody wants to always do the Jordan and LeBron argument, and then they all bring up, oh, 6 for 6, whatever. Now, that man as a non-dominant scorer, like a not score first type of player, is the all-time leader in points. Overall and in regular season and in the playoffs, all that. It's about more than just the chips. LeBron has a better lasting legacy than Mike. In terms of NBA wise, if he does retire, I think that the NBA is going to go into a bit of a. I think the views will go down like they went down for Jordan. Because that was one thing I talked about after Jordan retired. The views for the NBA stayed down for a little bit. And then they rose again, but they went like down after Jordan retired because it was Jordan, and some people only watch the game for Jordan, and I think that same effect will happen with LeBron, as there are a good amount of people who watch the game for LeBron. Yeah, hell of a player. I don't see him retiring. Bronny will be in the league in a year if he wants to play. I think because he did make a comment about, I'd love to play with Bronny, but if that's not what happens, I'm also okay with that. I don't think that was about him retiring necessarily. I think that's about the conversation of if Bronny want to actually come into the league. Like, if does Bronny actually want to play basketball? Does Bronny want to go to USC for 4 years? Is Bronny capable of making the NBA outside of LeBron's name? I think all that plays a factor rather than LeBron wanting to retire. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Also, you were sorry to cut you off. You were talking about how like everybody wants to do the whole like Jordan LeBron thing. I'm one of those people. I'm not gonna admit, like, I know deep down in my heart of hearts that LeBron is the greatest player to ever play. I'm never going to say that out loud
You just
again.
did.
Or
Bitch.
shut up. I'm never gonna like. I'm always going to debate it until the day he retires, and then I think once he's no longer in the league, I'll be able to let it slide. But I don't know why. I can't. For some reason, in year 21, I can't give it to him. I don't know why. It's like a mental block I have. It's fucking stupid.
And I think that's the thing with a lot of people. I think because of the way that LeBron has been kicking your favorite team's asses for years and
Yeah.
years, I think everyone may have a little bit of hatred towards LeBron that will go away once he's out of the league because they'll finally be able to respect what he did as a player in the league as one of, if not the greatest, which I do believe he is, one of the greatest ever. So.
Yeah, like I'm sure there's plenty of Pistons fans in Detroit who are in like 1999, 2000, 2001 were like, yeah, man, Jordan just wasn't that great. I like Kareem better just because like fucking Chicago was whooping Detroit for like 10 straight years. But yeah, I think again, like you said, like after he retires and like the threat's no longer there, I think it's going to be a much more unanimous debate than it is today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also believe that, it's one at LeBron and then two at Kobe. But we keep my mouth shut for now about that. I think Jordan's three.
Oh
That's my
no,
It's a hot
oh,
take, and I don't agree, but
that is flaming hot. Kobe's not even my top five. I'm just gonna say that.
Kobe's not in like my top seven, dog.
Yeah.
Kobe's probably like top 10, but
I was
I
gonna
don't
say
know.
Kobe's like sat solid at 8. I think.
Damn.
Like
Yeah.
I don't.
Kobe's my number two. But, well, also on the topic of the possibility of LeBron retiring, we did see another NBA legend from his draft class retire. Carmelo Anthony retired yesterday. Crazy thing to wake up to, man. Hell of a career. I'm sad he couldn't play out, like have a farewell tour. I'm very sad that he went unsigned last season. But hell of a career for him. The video of his retirement was great. The fact that he's giving the legacy to his son, That's also amazing. I find that amazing. His son is a high school prospect. He good enough player right now. I think he's only 15 or 16. So he definitely has a lot to grow, but he also has time to grow. But yeah, hell of a career for Melo. I definitely say one of the greatest players of all time. Definitely a top 3, top 5 scorer all time. But yeah, I'm definitely going to miss him.
He is definitely an all-time scorer. As we can see from wherever he is on the all-time scoring list, he's way up there. He's in the top 10 for sure. I know that. But yeah, man, what a career. He was one of my I think he was one of the most interesting players for me to watch growing up. It's just amazing the way that he could create space out of nothing. He would be standing still. All he would need is a jab step and a couple pump fakes, and he's getting up a good shot. Uh, so yeah, I mean, Carmelo Anthony, just great player, great career. I hope his retirement goes well. Uh, like you said, Q, I am a little disappointed he didn't get signed for one more contract, but things happen that way sometimes, and we just have to accept it. So,
I think he's one of those guys that get a bucket whenever. Not an athletic guy, not really, but he can get any shot he wants just off footwork. And then overall, underrated post scorer too for his size. Get him in the block, the short corner maybe. Maybe that short corner. Maybe the high post. He can
we love
maneuver
the
in
short
there.
corner here.
Yes, jab step, pump fakes, all that. Yeah. But yeah, he should have got another shot. Some team could have used him. There's 30 teams. Like Melo could make one of those rosters.
Ain't no bullshit. The Pistons had like 17 wins. They could have used him. Shit, not 20.
Yeah.
Jesus
Nah,
Christ.
because realistically, Melo's chucking up 30 shots a game on the Pistons.
Hey, at least they getting 20 wins though. Shit.
Yeah, I think Carmelo, like, the thing about Melo is that, like, he was one of those guys that just, I love the way that guy sets up shop. Shout out to whoever that is on fucking TikTok or whatever. But he's just like, his way of playing basketball was like, he was one of those few guys that, like, join, like, having a really aesthetically pleasing brand of basketball while also having it be very effective. Like there's plenty of guys who just like fucking dribble around but don't really do anything, and then there's plenty of guys who like are really good at the game of basketball and can put up numbers but don't do it in a way that's like attractive to the eye. But Melo would give you so like a he, uh he just had like a very consistent way of just going and getting what he needed to get for his team every single night. Q, I think yesterday you were talking about how he would just like go out and give you a consistent 23, 25 every single night without fail. But he did it in a way that was like kind of like, I don't want to say inspiring because that's corny, but it was inspiring. Like if you're like just picking up basketball as like just a sport you're watching or a sport you're playing, he's one of those guys who like, I want to play like that because his brand of basketball was just so much fun to watch and to try to emulate. And like I remember back the first like pair of shoes that I remember being like really excited to get were they weren't like a signature shoe from Mello, but they were like blue and orange, like Knicks colors,
God.
and they were like fucking Reebok brand or something. I was like, I think maybe 10 or 11 years old, but I was really excited about them because I loved watching like those like 2011 through 2014 Knicks play because they were just so much fun to watch, and I was really excited to debut those at school, but like, but yeah, that's
Look
just
at
like
Melo, man.
Look at Melo,
yeah,
So
man.
inspirational.
So inspirational.
Look at Melo, man. Inspiring people to buy Reeboks for real.
Uh,
But yeah, he was just really fun to watch play and a just really, really great all-time player.
For sure. Mario, anything?
Yeah, like I said, great post scorer, great scorer. Should have got another shot. But yeah, no, he's just one of those players. You never like. He was kind of like a low key. Like he wasn't like the face of the league at any point, but he'd like quietly be a scoring leader or quietly average like 30 a night. And then you'd hear about it because I wasn't really watching the Knicks as a Celtics fan. I didn't care for them back in the day. Now that they suck, I couldn't care less. But no, he's just one of those. He'd get you 30, but you wouldn't hear about it. and you just do that every single night.
I'm really actually gonna miss him a lot. I tried to, I never played like high school or middle school, but like AAU. I definitely, and even now, the intramural team, the lads, definitely tried to emulate my game after him, after Carmelo. Playing at my own speed, not passing the ball. I love that part. Definitely tried to emulate my game after that.
That's what I'm there for.
So I'm definitely gonna miss him. Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be wild without him, and he's definitely gonna be like first ballot Hall of Famer when it comes to it. I think he's eligible in 2026, so that'll definitely be great to see him. Shit. I'm still like processing the fact that he's like retiring. It's so crazy.
I think when we see someone like Derrick Rose retire, I'm gonna be devastated. You're not gonna speak to me for 6 days. It's it's gonna be over for me because that is my favorite player of all time in any sport. So
Shit. Yeah. So on topic of basketball because this is a basketball podcast. Celtics do play in an hour. Potential getting swept. Potentially.
don't
Let
let
us
us
win
win
one.
a game.
Don't let us win one.
Don't let us take one, man. You don't know what's gonna happen.
If we take one, we're taking all four.
Yeah.
If we take this game, you have to give us all 3 of your wins, and we move on.
Yeah, exactly. It's like my
We swept them.
Yeah, we get to see that
He
tonight.
said it's like Mancala. Oh my goodness.
How do we feel about how that series is going so far?
So bad. So bad.
Yeah,
I hate
terrible.
this team.
The
I was saying it
Celtics.
last series. I hate this team. I hate the way they play. They have no organization on offense. Joe Mazzulla's fucking useless. We have our roster on paper is better than it was last year. All our young guys have had another year to grow. We've had another year to grow together because we lost virtually nobody in the offseason. We have, obviously, we lost our coach and everything. But in terms of this roster, we have no reason to be so much worse.
I don't remember losing a coach.
That one guy.
What guy?
Yeah,
I think he's in Toronto.
I think he was a really good guy.
Man,
I don't
I
remember
remember
him doing anything wrong.
he was an amazing coach.
Yeah.
I hate this
He
team
was.
so much.
No,
I
he was
hate
excellent.
how he was an incredible coach. But I
He was
hate
so
the
good.
I
Man, we
hate
really
the amount
fired
that he
him.
regressed.
I'm pissed we
I know.
fired him over sleeping with somebody. I don't know if many people know
That's
this.
crazy.
Joe Mazzulla beat the hell out of his girlfriend back in 08, 09. And no one talked about it when we signed him.
He did do that.
He beat the hell out of her once or twice.
That's okay. Celtics, what are we doing here?
Hey, it's okay to beat your girlfriend. Just
That's what we just said.
Yeah, not while you're coaching the Celtics. It's fine. Yeah, if you do it before you
I don't believe what I just said.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Disclaimer.
Yes. We do not support Joe
Any of the
Mazzulla.
shit that I say in this song.
No, but I think a part of me dies every time I see Jaylen Brown shoot a high post fade, 2 seconds of the shot clock, and then everyone else is still on the other side of the court. It's just so random. It's so stupid. Joe Mazzulla shouldn't be a head coach. He was fine as an assistant, but we got to move on from him next year.
I'm not gonna lie. After watching our performance in these playoffs, I don't even want him as an assistant anymore. I want him as far away from his team as he can get.
Go be a trainer. Go be a trainer somewhere.
Send him fucking Shenzhen.
Shenzhen?
Give him the
Guangdong.
Shanghai
Yeah.
Sharks.
Yeah.
Go to Taiwan. Go to Taiwan. Dwight wants everybody now.
Yeah,
Personal
Dwight
life
Howard's
before,
recruiting.
Go play as a player in Taiwan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Joe's
he can
only
play.
like
He can still
34,
play.
35.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But
He's
yeah,
younger than Al by 3 years.
yeah. With the Celtics, like we said, Joe is not that guy when it comes to coaching, and it's so evident. Like we've said before, random offense does not work when you really get down to the top tier teams in the NBA, and just watching the last couple of games, if it's all ISO ball, ball screens. There's never any off-ball movement. It's all just wherever the ball is, that's where the movement is. Everyone else stays still, and that's why we can't ever get an open shot.
Why the hell do we
And
take 10 seconds to figure out what we want to do on offense? I
it's
don't get
so
it.
frustrating to watch. We stand
stand
outside
until
the 3-point line dribbling for
until the
10
clock
seconds,
hits 14,
and then
16.
and then we get like a pick and roll where no one else is moving, and we put up a terrible forced shot that doesn't go in. It's one of the most frustrating things to watch as a basketball fan, more importantly than as a Celtics fan. But it's really frustrating from both perspectives.
I don't like the way we're setting up shop. Joe Mazzulla, definitely a fucking dog shit coach. We need to definitely fire him. But all the blame can't go on Joe, definitely. It also needs to be spread out towards the players. Jaylen Brown, I said this last episode, I'm going to say it again. Wake up. I don't know if something's honestly wrong with him. He needs to, like, wake up at whatever funk he is and remember that he's all NBA and needs to act like it and, like, play like he's that guy.
Damn, I forgot I'm all NBA. Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
Holy shit!
I'm supposed to be good.
Oh, yo, you're telling me I'm an all NBA player? Wait, I remember how to play again.
Yeah. Hopefully
Don't give us a game.
don't give us a game, man.
Okay, so
Maybe that's
he
what
doesn't
happened.
want to be here.
It doesn't look like he
I
wants
think
to
he's
be.
done with Boston. Because, like,
I-
all season he's kind of regressed a little bit. Like, he's shooting, like, 5% worse from three than he was last year. And he's just, like, taking a step back. And it's especially evident when, like, Tatum's not on his shit. Because usually, like, last year, the thing that was so dangerous about the Celtics was that even when Tatum wasn't performing up to what he needed to perform up to, Brown was there to pick up the slack, and we wouldn't like skip a beat. Whereas now, like, what was it? Was it game 3 where Tatum and Brown both had like under 15 points?
Yeah.
And like the way our team
about for
set up,
24, I think.
They come out for 26, yeah.
26.
the way our
And max
team
two
set up,
sets.
we can't function as a team if that's happening. Like, we need a second co-star because all we have behind them are role players.
Yeah.
You know.
We need a big.
I also would like to mention that as much as sometimes I love Marcus Smart, I think he lets it go to his head when everyone says that he's the heart of the Celtics, and by that I mean he chucks up so many bad shots that he should not be taking, and that is just not acceptable from someone that's supposed to be like, I get it, he's supposed to be like a leader of the team. That's fine. You can be a leader without having to put up all those bad shots, because real leaders show people that they're going to do things the right way no matter how it happens. Like, if they're not getting up as many shots as they want, they're going to be fine with it as long as they're helping their team win. And I think that Marcus Smart kind of has a tendency to think that when the team isn't winning, he has to put them on his back, even though he's by far not the best player on this team. That, no disrespect to Marcus, he's just not. And yeah, I think he needs to maybe get a little bit of a reality check from someone else on the team and be like, hey, you need to lead us, but not be so focused on doing all the scoring yourself, because that's hurting the team more than it's helping.
Yeah.
I think the coach is the one to tell him that, but I don't think Joe Mazzulla has it in him to say anything to these players.
No, he
Like,
doesn't.
Ime would say something, Brad would say something, but Joe Mazzulla doesn't know what he's doing either.
No. Joe would tell you a story about the Golden Girls or whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. Did you? Yeah, the town. They're talking about the town.
Yeah, I mean, and if we remember back to last year, like, one of the changes that was made mid-season that made this team so effective was that Marcus Smart went from just, like, being a really good defensive point guard who, like, chucked up shots but didn't really help spread the ball around, is that Marcus Smart became, like, the main facilitator of the offense. Like, he started running the offense and being unselfish with the ball to the point where, like, he was getting other guys open shots and he was creating shots for himself and others. And then, again, like, I think the main problem with this team, and it's kind of been the problem that's persisted throughout this entire, like, run of, like, the past 5 years with this core, is that whenever there's a problem, instead of, like, facing it head on and just going through it and figuring out what's going wrong and how to fix it, this team has a tendency to just revert back to their, like, instinctual, just, like, what do we do? Whether it's like playing hero ball and that random offense or whatever it is, like we just don't face up to adversity well. When we're winning, we are by far the best team in basketball, as far as I'm concerned. Like when we're on top of our shit. But then when something starts to falter, it's like the entire machine just like comes crumbling down bit by bit because we just like revert so hard. And I think like what we need in a coach is to get guys like Marcus, like Jalen, like Jason, who have that tendency to kind of fall back on what they know rather than trying to push through issues. Is like get a coach who has a track record of being able to push through that, like a Monty Williams who lost before he won and then went back to losing and like had that transformation. So we've seen both sides of the coin. Whereas like again, Joe Mazzulla is like so far out of his depth that he doesn't even know where to start. So like step one for this team in the offseason is get rid of the head coach and get somebody who like knows their shit and knows how to deal with this type of situation.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is we just really need to get the team as a whole to buy into a system, which can't happen if we don't have a system at all right now. So, like you said, I think it's best the first move that needs to be made this offseason, no matter what the team ends up looking like next season, is we need to look into getting a different head coach because Joe Mazzulla is just not going to be able to.
We don't have to wait till next season.
He's not going to hold his own as a head coach.
We fire him the day after we lose. Whenever we get put out, the day after, pack his ass up. 8 a.m., 8:30 sharp. Pack his ass up, please.
Send him to Guangdong. Get him out of here.
Send him anywhere else.
They need a point. They need a point guard.
Yeah, they need a point guard in Guangdong. Ben Simmons didn't accept the offer.
While we're on the topic, if let's say they get swept tonight or whatever happens, I don't think we're making it out. But where does the Celtics go from here? Do they? Because I personally believe that we need to get rid of Jalen. I think we need to get somebody else other than Jalen. I think we also need to get a big. I love Rob, but currently Rob isn't consistent enough to be able to be playing 82 games. So we need to look at somebody younger, in better shape, who's able to take that bang, like a Jalen Duren, like a whoever the case may be. I like Jalen Duren. I do like Jalen Duren.
Funny you should say that because I have something written down on my notepad in front of me that I'd like to bring up.
Okay.
So I think, like I said earlier, I think Jalen's kind of done in Boston. I think he's just like mentally checked out on this team. I don't think there's any more space for him to grow here. Whereas like his entire career has just been a pattern of growth because he went from like 6 points a game his rookie year, getting all the way up to all NBA second team. And there's just like there's no more room to grow with where we're at with like the system we have. So I think he wants out. And I think the perfect fit would be Detroit because not only do they have a young roster where he can be that older guy who helps them grow. And, like, again, Jaylen Brown's a gritty player. Detroit is historically a gritty team. It just makes sense there. But also they have plenty of draft capital and just, like, young talent to send back to make the trade worth it for both parties. So what I think we should do is send Jaylen Brown to the Detroit Pistons for Jalen Duren for some, like, big depth, help Rob out because he's not playing more than 60 games in a season, I don't think ever. Unless he like seriously changes something about how he's preparing for the year. Jaden Ivey and a future first round pick. Not pick 5 or whatever it is this year, but like 2024, 2025 future first. So we can kind of have a fail safe in case this team starts to like falter and we need to rebuild. We already have some draft capital to fall back on. But I really like this idea. I like Jalen Duren so much as a player. He's literally only 19, and we're not talking about Tatum, who's only 19. We're talking about a dude who has only lived 19 years on the planet.
Damn,
and then Jaden Ivey being like pick 4 or whatever he was, I think he has a lot of potential to grow. I think he has all the potential in the world. And then future first to just see what we can do in future years. But I think it would be a perfect fit for both teams. And
I'll admit, I don't dislike that trade as much as the one you talked about yesterday with us.
For context, we definitely recorded this yesterday. and I definitely messed with the audio, so we're back at it today. So if we keep bringing up
But it's
yesterday, this is
okay.
from yesterday's recording. The audio was lost because I'm a genius. Yeah,
I can't believe we lost out on Master Uguay though.
there were so many.
That's so
There
disappointing.
were so many good
No.
recordings about yesterday's
Oh my
podcast,
goodness.
and we missed out on them. And there were so many funny moments.
So yeah.
Also, if this comes out late, that's why, and I'll take full responsibility. Fuck OBS. That I'll say. Fuck OBS.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I don't hate that trade as much as the one you talked to us about yesterday. Um, I do agree. I think Jaylen Brown is a good fit for Detroit as a team, like historically gritty team. Jaylen Brown's a gritty player. I think he'll mesh well with some of the guys on that team. Um, I just I don't know. I still think that we may be slightly undervaluing a guy who is an All NBA second team player. I think we could honestly be getting a little more back. But again, that could just be the Celtics fan in me saying, "Oh, my team needs to get more out of this trade," because every fan wants their team to win every trade, which in reality doesn't happen. But yeah, I think like you said, Ivy has a lot of upside. Duran, I do like what I've seen so far. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah, I don't mind that trade. Same, I like it better than the one yesterday because of the Jaden Ivy.
God,
But like,
Jesus Christ.
we'd have to like look at our options of wings after that if we did that trade because we'd just have like Tatum as like a wing, and like
yeah,
Hauser is the next guy.
I don't
So we'd
mind
have to
Hauser.
maybe draft one. But
You could draft one with the pick.
yeah, I like that trade though. I don't mind that.
well, but the pick that we're getting according to
We
Rocco's
get
trade
future.
isn't for the future, so we'd have to, I think, probably look in free agency to sign some like decent like role player wings for
Get
our
like a
team.
If
like a Gary
Gallinari's
Trent
healthy, that's not
Jr.
bad.
I don't love Gallinari at this
I don't
age.
like
He's not much of a wing. He's more of a I think stretch
Absolutely.
four at this point
Yeah.
because he's just so big and slow and he's getting old and
Yeah.
who knows what his availability will look like. So
Very true.
yeah,
I
I think we definitely have to look into free agency.
I think we need to talk to Portland personally. I think that for Jalen, what he's doing, we could either do like you get the third pick, and then we get like a Simons or a Shadon Sharp, one of those young guys who looks real hopeful.
Nurkic.
Or shut up.
Absolutely not.
Let's just pick up
Little big
Aaron
man.
Baines again. You want Nurkic? Let's pick up
Yeah,
Aaron Baines.
I'm fine with that. We need some passion on this team.
Give me Tito Horford.
Yeah, Tito.
Tito.
Tito in here.
Pero
Yeah.
Antic.
See him throw that towel last game. See him throw that towel. That's the
It's
passion
huge.
we don't have right now.
It's a difference making play right there.
Yeah, he's got to talk to his son. Got to put some championship mentality into him.
Yeah, but definitely, I think we need to talk to Portland about that. Or if we want to get real, we could do Jaylen Brown straight up for Dame. If we were feeling like that, I would not mind that trade, and then seeing Dame and Tatum go together. I would not mind that. That I will say.
At that point, though, I feel like we have a lot of guard depth that we don't need, and we'd have to make some moves with that.
I mean, then we can look at other teams. We can get rid of Derek White. We could.
I love Derek White.
I'd get rid of Brogdon before White.
I'm getting rid of White before Brogdon, to be quite frank.
I'm getting rid of Smart before either of them.
Oh, I don't know. This is a tough one.
Well, the other thing about that is I don't like. How do you quantify the trade value of a guy like Marcus Smart? A guy who's like he goes from being like a scary like when he's on, he can give you 22 and like 10 assists and great defense.
When
He's
giving
had
you
games
22
like
and
that.
10.
Nah, he's giving you games like that. Like look at last
He-
postseason. Like when we needed him to step up, he would.
He gets hot.
But
Great.
also the
Listen, it's cold.
majority of the time, he's cold and he's giving you like 11, 3, and 7, and it's not an efficient 11, 3, and 7. It's like 35%. But he's also like an all-world defender, leader in the locker room. So like, how do you quantify what you should get back for a guy like that? I think it'd be much easier to quantify a guy like Brogdon, where everything you need to know about Malcolm Brogdon's game you can see on the stat sheet.
Yeah.
Whereas Marcus does so much outside of that. I mean, obviously, I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit with Brogdon. Like, he does bring a little bit in terms of like defensive intensity and like locker room and whatever. But Marcus Smart, that's his entire game, is what you can't just put a number on. You know?
I totally agree that Marcus is a little bit harder to quantify as far as his value, but I think he like realistically he has pretty like high level role player value in my mind because like although you're not getting a very consistent player on the offensive end, like we said, he's former defensive player of the year and he's still like going to be able to lock up people. We've seen him lock up centers before. Like that man is going to play defense. And one of the biggest things I think with Marcus is the hustle. Nobody in the league hustles more than Marcus Smart. He makes every single hustle play there is to be made. And that is something that every team needs. I just think we have that in smaller doses, but in some of our other guys, like Derek White or Malcolm Brogdon, those guys make that kind of play too. It's just not as much. And I think we kind of, as Celtics fans, overvalue the leadership and hustle that Smart brings and undervalue some of the stuff that some of the other guys bring. So I think we can get some pretty decent value. I don't have like a specific trade in mind, but I I don't think we're getting underpaid for Marcus Smart.
Okay. You could also do like we'll talk about the Timberwolves again. Taking Jalen and Smart, sending them both to Portland, and then you get like Dame and Jeremy Grant or something. And then there's another wing guy to go, or you get Shaden Sharp, something. You never know. But there are ways
That's a
to
really interesting trade. That is because like, ooh, Jalen and Marcus for Dame and like a Jeremy Grant or Shaden Sharp.
I don't hate that.
I don't hate it, but that would break the league. Like
It would be
if
huge.
we set the precedent that we could just swap superstars,
Yeah.
that'd be fucking wild.
Yeah.
Also, who would win that trade? Like hypothetically, if we said it was like Dame, Jeremy Grant, and like a first round pick in 2025 for Jalen and Marcus, just kind of like swapping the predicament that either franchise is in, or swapping like.
I think it's a win-win each way. I think it's both wins.
I think if we do
I'll
that, we
tell
have
you
to
what.
go like win now mode though.
That's what we'd be
I
doing.
agree. I agree, Marty. And to be honest with you, I think the Trailblazers win that trade as long as the Celtics don't go and win a championship.
Yeah.
But
If
also,
the Celtics win a championship, the Celtics won that trade. But the Portland Trailblazers, I don't think lose either way because they're getting like a pretty young all NBA player as well as one of the best defenders and hustle players in the league.
Yeah.
So I think either way, the Trailblazers at the kind of standstill their team has been at for a few years, they need change. And I see this as a way for them to make that change, but still be decent. And I would say that they gain potential to be better in the future by making that trade more so than anything you're going to be getting from like Dame and Shaden or Jeremy Grant next season.
definitely.
Also, it's kind of a hard. I'm sorry to cut you off. This is like a quick little thing, but I don't know what a Celtics team with Jason Tatum but without Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown would even look like or play like. Like that would be such, especially if you bring in like a offense, pretty much offense only guy in Dame Lillard to run the one, which is the complete antithesis to what we've had in Marcus Smart. Like that,
Yeah, but
this team. I'm not saying it wouldn't work. I'm just saying it would look completely different than it does now. And I think there would be the problem with it. I think is that there would be an adjustment period to learn how to play with that system and how Dame and Tatum will play together. That would like by the time that adjustment period's over, Dame's going to be like 32, 33. and then we got to start worrying about how short that championship window would be. But I would be really, really interested to see what that would look like.
That's fair. I do see it working out though, because Dame isn't like a terrible defender. He's okay.
It's not
But
Marcus level.
we
Like,
but we do have those guys coming off the bench at that point, like either Derek White or Malcolm Brogdon would be coming off the bench for us, and or both possibly, who knows? And I think there, if we need to make sure we're getting a defensive stop at any given point, like that's not a crazy substitution to make for like a couple defensive plays. Like call a timeout, get in the defenders when it like at the end of the game when we need Dame back in, we put him back in.
yeah, I think it works out better than you think because the big thing we see as an issue with Jalen right now is, and especially you see within this last season, if Tatum's not there, you need somebody consistent. Dame's also one of those really consistent guys who can give you 20 a night, and then can also just pop off and give you 40. But having a consistent guy there along Jason, it'll relieve some of the pressure off Jason, which will in turn help him because maybe he's less stressed, and then maybe less bad games happen to him, and then he becomes more consistent. You kind of understand where I'm coming from with that?
And let's not forget that Dame is coming off the best season of his career. He put up the best numbers of his entire career last season. So I don't think we're going to be seeing some sort of like major regression right away. I think we do have a few years out of Dame if we trade for him that I think is enough time for that championship window to actually turn into a championship.
Yeah, and I think the way he plays like extends his career. Like he's not like a Westbrook who has to be like athletic at all times. He can just get a shot off and score like 30. He's not like
Yeah.
he doesn't rely on athleticism, so he can last longer than these other guys. And I think that's I don't mind that trade actually. It's just we have to like build for a championship like off the bat because we're gonna get like 4 good years maybe out of Dame, maybe 3. But no, I don't mind that trade actually.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing we have to think about though, with the system Boston's been running, like the system that's been working, with like Jalen, Marcus, Tatum. Well, not like
What system?
Street ball?
We have
Street
no
ball?
system. There is no system.
but Boston, like the way Boston played for like the last few years, has kind of heralded the open of like positionless basketball because we have Marcus at the 1 who can guard 1 through 5. We have Jalen Brown who can guard 1 through 5. Tatum can guard 1 through 5. And then if we make that move, take out 2 of those guys, we lose a lot on defense. Because remember, like one of the things that makes Boston so good is that we are every bit as good on defense as we are on offense when we're cooking. Like we are probably the best two-way team that basketball's seen since like the early Warriors teams, like before KD got there, in terms of like two-way basketball and like just being able to guard at every position. And if we trade our 2, I would argue our 2 probably top defenders. You can make the argument with like Jalen Brown or Tatum or Rob Williams or whoever because we have so many. But if we're trading like 2 of our top guys for someone who's not necessarily a minus defender, but he's definitely not a plus defender in Dame, and then any one of those young guys, young wings, like we just don't know what they're going to provide on defense yet at like in the Eastern Conference Finals or in the finals when the lights are the brightest. We don't know what they're going to bring. I personally don't really love that trade just because I think it would cause such a shift in how the organizations run and how we play that I think it might counteract any like positive we get. But again, I'd be really interested to see how it played out because that's like a huge, massive move that could like change the complete trajectory of 2 whole franchises in one day.
And we just brought up this topic of the subject of change and franchises and change of franchises. I think we also need to take a look at the draft lottery that just happened. Shout out to the Spurs. They are now the franchise that's going to be changing. Shout out, y'all won the Victor Wembanyama, the whole thing. You guys won. Sorry for the Pistons. They literally were the worst team in the NBA by a lot.
Right.
And they got the 5th pick, I'm pretty sure, for them.
The beauty of the lottery.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a little bit of a Piston. I like the Pistons team, and I'm really
Me
upset
too.
for them because I would have loved to see them get that generational talent alongside Cade. I think that could have been a dominant force for years to come. And with the Spurs, like I do like the fact that there's like a big support system for Wembanyama to be developed. Um, but I just there's not a lot of like great pieces. Like he doesn't really have a co-star over there.
Keldon Johnson.
So I who?
Keldon Johnson? Daniel
No.
Vassell?
Yeah.
Devin
No,
Vassell, I
that-
mean?
Devin Vassell, I don't mind, but I don't think he's ever gonna be that like co-star level player. I like all of the players on the Spurs. I just don't think any of them have much potential to be like a star.
Yeah.
No, losing
Um,
Josh Primo was a big deal too.
Love me some Josh Primo.
Yeah.
I think honestly, one of my takes that I was like most confident in at the start of the school year or start of the basketball season. I'm fucking stupid, my bad. But one of the things I was most confident in with this season was that I was fully convinced that the Pistons were an 8 seed or a 7 seed this year. Like looking at their roster from top to bottom,
I thought they were a play-in team.
To be fair, keep in
Yeah.
mind, Cade got injured real early.
that's
Mhm.
true. But like if you look at their ceiling, like even this year with like 2 rookies who could arguably be in the starting lineup, they could have been really good if Cade didn't get hurt.
Well, one of them's
And so
Killian
I
Hayes.
don't. I know rookies.
Is Killian Hayes my rookie?
Killian Hayes is not a rookie.
Oh,
He's
well, he plays like
Killian
it.
Hayes was in the draft. He was in the draft class with Tyrese Halliburton.
And he's playing that ass?
Yeah,
Yes.
Damn, he sucks. Shit.
Terrible.
he was drafted before Reese. I don't know if it's right before, but before.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I think the Pistons are going to be okay even without like Wembanyama or whoever. I think the Pistons are going to be a really, really, really good team. If not next year, then the year after, and in years to come. I think Detroit's going to be perennially in like the top 4 or 5 in the East for the majority of the next 10 years. But yeah, again, why I think they should get Jaylen Brown now so they can get that get that engine running. But congrats to the
Yeah.
Spurs, though.
Honestly.
I'm not gonna lie. I think this could be a topic for like next week or whatever. But I don't 100% believe the hype for Wembanyama. I've watched a Jimmy High Roller video today. Shout out Jimmy, talking about draft prospects and like how very few of the guys at like the very top end up being the guys that like change franchises and everything. It's only been like one in the past 20 years who's like won Finals MVP with the team they were drafted by.
Yeah.
So I think we're putting a lot of undue expectations on him to go out and just like minute he steps foot on a basketball court, be one of the top 5 players in the league. Like I think that's crazy. I think he's going to have a much more traditional like approach to greatness. Not in terms of like, oh yeah, he's putting up like 15 and 8, great for a rookie. Like I think he's gonna have a similar rise to like what kind of Zion did, or guys who kind of like start off like really good, like right below an all-star level, and then start growing from there. Kind of like a Jaw almost. Hopefully without the other shit that Jaw's doing on the side, but
Elite
yeah, I
shooter.
don't. Oh Jesus Christ!
Oh my god.
Elite shooter Ja Morant.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
He's
But
improved
yeah,
his 3-point shot. What are you talking about?
Whoa.
Easy there.
That's what I'm talking about. What else would I be talking about?
But yeah, I think Wembanyama's way overhyped, but that's just me personally.
I agree. I think Wembanyama's getting a lot of hype that may be kind of undue. I don't think he's going to be like an awful player. I just don't know that he's going to fulfill the expectations that people have for him because he's first of all, he's just a kid still. Like he's like our age.
I think he's young.
He's
Younger
this
than some of us.
I know it's crazy, but yeah, no, I think it's a lot of pressure for someone coming into the league. But I mean, we saw the same thing. I mean, obviously we weren't really watching at this point, but with someone like LeBron, or more recently Zion had arguably a similar amount of hype as Wembanyama did, or does. But yeah, no, I think we need to kind of lower our expectations, not because he's going to be bad, but because they're unrealistic.
Yeah.
People are expecting him to be the greatest player of all time, and he hasn't even set foot on a court.
Yeah. I think he got like lucky with the situation he's in. He's got Greg Popovich, great coach, and like they said, they're gonna bring in like those former players to mentor him. And yeah, it's just a great situation.
Master Uruguay.
Master Uruguay
disciples.
here.
I think we should have a discussion of which characters in Kung Fu Panda would be which members of like the San Antonio Spurs legacy. Because I'm
can't do this.
confident that I think Tony Parker. I'm putting Tony Parker at Tigress person, and then I think and then Manu's definitely Mantis or
No.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to
Manu's
read.
Mantis.
No,
You don't see that?
I like Tony Parker as Mantis.
no bullshit. I'm gonna have to rewatch Kung Fu Panda before I actually have this debate.
I like Tony Parker as Mantis because he's like that little guy that kind of just does all the little things kind of that I don't know. This is a stupid debate. Why are we talking?
What are you talking about?
We
This
can
is
all
important.
agree that we can all
It's what the
agree
viewers
that
wanna
Tim
hear.
Duncan is Shifu. Tim Duncan is
Yeah,
Shifu.
yeah.
And then Greg
Yeah.
Popovich is Uruguay. Everything beyond
Uruguay.
that's trivial. We gotta agree on those.
I'll watch it before we record the next one and definitely share my opinion.
David Robinson could be
non-existent. You don't hear about that one. That guy for shit. Shout out David Robinson though. On a serious note, I also agree with what Ben Marco said. I don't think he's going to live up to the expectations. One, because the expectations are ridiculous right now. They're expecting him to be greatest of all time, greatest of all time by a lot. 7'4" can do it all. And I'll say these things. One, he seems really inefficient. Not really inefficient, but for what people are gassing him up to be, he's kind of inefficient. He's getting 23 a night and playing for the Mets 92, I believe, on maybe like 46, 47%. Like, it's not like he's doing anything above average. The only thing that's above average about him is that he's abnormally tall and can play like a guard. And I think although that's great for the NBA, that's going to be a liability in terms of injuries. He's thin. He's 7'4", but he's thin. And we've seen it before with a lot of thin guys who aren't able to put on the weight. We just saw with Chet Holmgren last season. Not even into the season, Chet's playing in the Pro-Am with LeBron and gets injured.
Yeah.
There are a lot of guys not built like, because LeBron's massive. But there are some guys who are going to give him a problem because it's not like he's playing point guard or anything. He's going to be there in the center. We see AD 6'10", 240, 245. Even he can't deal with getting banged up. I don't think as a big man that he will be able to stay healthy for long. I think that's going to be part of his downfall. I think injuries are going to definitely play a role in why he's going to turn into one of those what ifs like Brandon Roy and such. That's my personal thought. I never want to wish injuries upon a person, but that definitely seems like the process of where it'll be.
Yeah, and also I think another thing that I don't know if people have talked about that much, how do you put Victor Wembanyama in a system? Like,
that was
we have never seen a guy built like that who can play like he plays. So there is like virtually no blueprint of how to stick him in an offense or stick him in a defensive scheme. Because it's just like we have guys who have like parts of his game that we've seen before. Like Giannis, when he came into the league, they tried to make him a point guard so he could pass the ball, and he played like point forward for like 2 or 3 years towards the start of his career. Then he started putting on the weight and all that. But like, we have never seen a player with his skill set and also with like all the hype that he's had coming up. Who knows if he's going to be willing to not be the guy day one because he's been built up to be like, oh, well, I'm going to be the greatest player of all time. So why am I not playing like 35 minutes a game, getting all the shots? So it's really, really hard to kind of foresee how you slide him into any sort of scheme or any sort of like, from an organizational perspective, it could take a lot of manpower to just figure out how to use him properly to get the most out of him.
Really, realistically on that point, I think that, in my personal opinion, there's no way Wembanyama runs the 5. I think that Wembanyama is going to be running, either the 4, the 3, the 2, or the 1.
Please do not stick that man at the 2.
I could
Jesus,
see him at point.
I
Yeah,
see
I
him
don't
at
see the 2 or 3,
I see him at the 1 or the 4.
But-
To be quite frank.
yeah,
But the
1 or
way
4.
the way that he is like a ball dominant and like pretty good for that matter, he has pretty good handles for someone of his size. I don't see him running the 5, especially with like his body type and the way he plays. So, I like although you could make the argument that he could do something like Jokic, even though he's running, like he's bringing the ball up sometimes, like he's very clearly not the point guard. He's just like a centerpiece of the offense that they run the team through. It's it's a very different situation that I think has a lot to do with like their personal builds. They're built very differently, and I think that yeah, Wembanyama, realistically, I think he's probably going to be settling in at the 4.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I think he might actually. I think he might actually run the 5. Like I low key could see it when we look at San Antonio as a roster. They don't have a ball dominant guard. And then when you think about like I don't remember who plays point guard for them. For instance,
It's Jones.
It's one of the
No,
Jones.
it's
I think
Trey.
It's
Trey
Trey.
Jones.
Trey Jones. Yeah.
so from what I know, Trey isn't the most ball dominant. I think Tyus is the more ball dominant. And then at the 2, it's Devin Vassell. The 3 is Keldon Johnson, and then the 4 is Jeremy Sochan. I think he can fit in as that ball dominant 5 right there, and I think they'll place him there also for defensive reasons. And then they'll just have him bring up the ball. That's what I think is going to happen. There's not anybody else on that Spurs team who is really going to be demanding. What I think might be the downfall is how is he going to work under a Popovich system? Is Popovich going to be changing his system for Wembanyama? Is Wembanyama going to be changing his game? And if so, what that look like? That's what I'd more think about, less than what position he's going to play. I think he's playing the 5 on that team because there is no ball dominant guard. And he could just be the 5 who could bring up the ball.
Yeah, and I think like the only way to like compare Wembanyama and what he brings to an organization in terms of like a guy in his first year in the league, the only players we can really compare him to are guys who had the amount of hype that he's had to like come in and be the franchise changing player. And like if you look at LeBron, right? The thing about LeBron is that was an issue that just didn't exist for LeBron because we had seen other players do what LeBron did. LeBron just happened to be exceptional at every single facet of his game, but his game was not particular to him. Like we had guys like Larry Bird could like pass the ball and could run the offense from the 3. Magic Johnson had the build of a 3 and could spread the ball around, obviously. So his game was not particular to him, and there was like some sort of blueprint on like what do I need to do to change my game? How can you change your system to fit my game? Like we knew what to do with that. With Wembanyama, and the other thing is it's hard to expect a guy who's been told he was going to be the GOAT from the time he was like 17 years old. It's really hard to tell that guy that he needs to change how he plays basketball to fit someone else's system. It's really hard to make that adjustment, especially when he's just getting into the league. Because coming from like, I'm sure wherever he plays, he's like the most famous person in that city, and like he's a household name. Everybody knows him, and he's gotten all this love. Then he comes to America, goes to San Antonio, sits in Greg Popovich's office, and is suddenly just one of the bottle. So it's kind of hard to expect him to be able to make that adjustment that quick and just change the way he plays to fit whatever Pop tells him to do. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out because I have no idea how that's all going to work. But
Definitely. And I think we should wrap it up here on the account of the Celtics game starts soon, and I'm gonna be screaming, and I can't watch that over the podcast, or else you guys will hear
Oh yeah.
a lot of words
I
that
agree.
aren't YouTube friend will be coming out of my mouth. So.
But yeah, with that Celtics game coming up, I just want a quick prediction, just win or loss. What's happening with the Celtics tonight?
I think we lay down and lose tonight. I think we just don't have anything in us to win it. The way we've been playing, like, why would we like become like this passionate basketball team now when the whole series we've just been like dribbling around, terrible shot, no offense. Like, why would Joe Mazzulla like change that tonight? Because he can't change anything. He can't coach at all. So I think sweep. That's my prediction.
I say don't count them out. I say they get one. I
Don't
hope we
let
can
them
steal
win
one. I hope we can steal one and
Let
then
them
go
get
home
one.
and steal a
Let 'em.
second.
Yeah.
That's my
Once
hope
it
that
gets
we
back
can
to
like take.
Boston.
I hope we can go back to Boston and take another one and get like two, and then we can make it look like ooh, like, you know, and then maybe we pull through. I don't. I want that to happen. Ideally, I'm just praying tonight we don't just bend ourselves over and are like, give it to us, Miami. I just hope that doesn't happen. I hope that if we go out tonight, we're going out with a fight. When we looked at the Lakers game yesterday, they did get swept. But damn, they went out with a fight. You know, tough last. It was down to a last second shot.
Yeah,
So
Tatum
if
should
there's
play
a way to
every
close.
single
lose,
game. Every single game from the Lakers was they didn't give up on that.
they didn't give
It,
up
it,
once.
it was all pretty close throughout. So
So if we lose, I just pray that we aren't just taking it. That we're at least trying to make it look like we want to be there and that we want this chance. I still have a little bit of hope, just a tiny bit for them.
Yeah, I do think we take. I think we take something. I think there's all right. I think Joe Mazzulla as a coach can't get the whole team to come together and buy in. However, I do think someone in the group of Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, Marcus Smart, Derek White, someone in that group has to start taking it personally and just like go out there and on pride alone have a great game. I do think it's going to be a tight game tonight. I think we might take it by like a close score. Again, just on pride alone, like I think it's a case where like a few guys just take the wheel and just try to get it done. But we are not winning this series. I'll put the house I don't have on it. Like I'll bet the mortgage that I don't have yet on the fact that the Celtics are not winning the series. Like there's just no fucking shot.
You better hope I don't have
yeah,
this video in
I,
40 years and this looks get lucky. You better pray. I will take your house.
yeah. I mean, listen. The Celtics fan in me hates to say this, but I think it may be time to take out the brooms. Um, the way the Celtics have been playing all series is just so disappointing. And if you look on the other side of the series, the Heat are playing out of their minds. Like they shot like 50, 40, 90 probably as a team in the last game. Like I don't see any they're getting the Heat are getting good looks every possession. The Celtics are getting terrible looks every possession. I don't see why either of those things change tonight. So I'm gonna have to give it to the Heat. I think the Heat win this one and move on to the finals to face the Nuggets. With that being said, I think that is a wrap on episode 2, recording 2. Um, if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, leave a comment if you have anything you want us to talk about in the next episode, or if you have something to say about something we said in this episode. Subscribe to the imaginary Patreon. That's $5 a month.
It's in the works, all right?
You may or may not get a video every month.
Yeah,
Who
one
knows?
video a month. One video a month.
At most. Don't expect every month.
Yes.
It might not even have audio.
Just-
After yesterday, it might not even
If
have
you
audio.
really like us, you'd support us.
Just watch our
monetarily.
faces for an hour and 15 minutes.
We were so lucky I checked that video because I was literally about to post it, and I was like, what, let me give this all a listen to. And I'm like, fuck, man, why can't I only hear myself? And I'm like, shit. So, thank you all a lot, by the way, for the support on the first video. I don't think any of us expected to get the views that we got on it. Through that, we're also going to be, we have a TikTok now. We're going to be trying to post clips from the TikTok or post clips from the podcast and put them onto TikTok. We're going to try to find a way to go on Spotify, Apple Music, all that jazz. Try to find a way on there. Definitely have to look into it. Um, yeah, but thank you guys so much. All right, and with that, signing off. Go Celtics.
Love to the fans.
Yeah.
Nick Claxton fan club out.